Destiny 2 is a first-person shooter RPG from Bungie, the studio behind the genre-redefining Halo. Now following the original game's journey from immensely disappointing launch to awkward growing pains to finally a complete package of a game, albeit almost £100 of DLC later, Destiny 2 is for many players, myself included, make or break for the franchise. I found the original version, or vanilla Destiny, so unbelievably boring and disappointing that I'm frankly shocked at how positively I feel about its sequel. Destiny 2 seems hell-bent on repenting for the sins of its debut. The game literally opens with the destruction of the tower, the social area from the first game, and a moment of cathartic hand-washing that tries to wipe the slate clean. It's mostly successful, as is the game's excuse for stripping you of your powers, that excuse being the game's narrative thrust. In short, the Traveller has been captured by cultists from Mars, who spend their time reducing planets to dust and committing casual genocide. Due to the Traveller's incarceration, the Guardians have lost the light, except you of course, because you're the main character. The story is mostly pseudo-religious nonsense, but at least it's a story. I had forgotten the main villain's name almost as soon as the game had finished, but I appreciated having something to work towards. Unfortunately, the voice acting fluctuates between pantomime, dull, and extremely annoying. As the main character does a cipher for the player, all the responses from the dialogue come from your ghost. Now, I know Peter Dinklage was bad, believe me, I was there. I couldn't believe what I was hearing either, but Nolan North's interpretation is just as bad, if not worse. They traded in the sound of a man falling asleep recording his lines with the sound of Nolan North just taking the piss and seeing what he can get away with.
Do you feel it? The light is back. We're back.
Things descend into madness when Nathan Fillion turns up as Cade Six. You see, Nathan Drake from Uncharted sounds a lot like Captain Reynolds from Firefly, who is played by Nathan Fillion. Nathan Drake is a character played by Nolan North. This results in the two of them quipping off each other in the background, generating a feedback loop of gurning that could rip the planet apart.
And get me out of the portal system. Have you got that? Say you've got it. Say something!
Fine, I'll say it. We got it, Cade. Now how did you...
Oh my cotton socks! Did you not hear what I just said?
The game's exposition is mostly shouted at you via radio, and to be fair, they almost never shut up, course correcting Destiny 1's narrative shallowness with a U-turn visible from space, but none of it is actually all that interesting. I knew why we were fighting the enemy from the start. That doesn't really change no matter how many quote-unquote insurmountable odds you talk about. There's a few lines of dialogue that recontextualise the world before the Traveller, but these are mostly shoved off to the side. That's a lot more interesting than the constant speeches about Guardians and light and the Traveller. While I may have been falling asleep with the sheer tedium of the dialogue, I wanted Destiny 2 to be good because I wanted a game with amazing shooting. The first game had that. Look, the first game kinda had that, and plenty to do, which the first game did not have. However, in Destiny 2, these three categories score full marks. The shooting is still fantastic, it's extremely responsive, and different classes of weapons feel different from one another. The combat scenarios the game throws out are challenging and fun. A lot of the enemies from the first game and its expansions return, but some of the new behaviour and the encounters make the combat feel refreshing and constantly varied. As soon as I was getting bored of shooting one type of enemy, the mission would end or the objective would change in some way, or an element was introduced to give the fight flavour. The game never rests in one stanza of activity for long, and it's much better for it. The only negative thing I could say about the game's combat is that it does feel incredibly easy. The few times that I died outside of boss encounters were from falling off the map or getting slightly too close to a bigger enemy on his melee attack. If I kept my distance and managed the enemies correctly, I had very little problem, even with some of the marquee encounters. Although I don't really have a problem with this, I wasn't looking for something with immense difficulty, it's worth pointing out. The game's missions share a lot of the DNA of the Borderlands franchise, as go to location A, shoot to B, divert to C, then shoot back to D, with a big finale at the end. Nothing in the quest design is revolutionary, but every quest has a unique location or a break from the action that gives the actual task you're performing something extra. The level design in Destiny 2 outclasses the original in every way. Having been only developed for current gen hardware, Destiny 2 pushes the boat out with some wonderful landscape work, amazing skyboxes, and some lighting and screen effects that made the game far more visually interesting than I was expecting. I didn't expect to slow down and take in the world as much as I did. Planets are lush, colourful, and genuinely interesting to look at and walk around in. Parts of the game looks like it fell out of No Man's Sky's art book. While the game has the same number of locations as the first, the content and the variety within those locations is far greater. Aside from the main story missions, the game features adventures, which are smaller, less involved side missions that provide a bit of lore and show off parts of the map that aren't explored in the campaign. That sense of mystery is something that I'm glad Bungie have found again. The Halo series was full of hidden areas, secrets, illusions, and urban legends that vanilla Destiny felt very sterile by comparison. Contributing to this are sigils left in the environment environment that hint towards areas that are nearby. The game doesn't flag up the location of the secret, only the general area, so there's exploration to be found. I ended up in areas of the world that I was sure were simply set dressing, or perhaps I was about to be killed for going outside the designated space, only to find myself in a secret area, complete with a combat encounter and loot. I find the value of discovering something like this for myself immense in this type of game, and Destiny 2 seems full of it. The game isn't without its faults. I still don't really like the multiplayer mode, the Crucible, and I spent very little time there. Although it seems completely competent in a full suite of modes, it's not my type of thing. However, the microtransactions in the game seem very insidious. Shaders have been changed from an item that recolors the entirety of a player's costume to now being a consumable item that changes a piece of armor at a time. The only argument in this change's favour is that it allows for the customization of items individually and therefore more choice. However, that's pretty weak considering what this move actually is. It's a way to make money off people that are so invested in the game that they will pay for something that is previously free. It's predatory. Just wait until you complete the game if you really want your eyes open to the wealth of things Bungie are going to charge you for. Bungie have delivered on the promise of the original Destiny to me. It's a game that has a great amount of content, a variety of worlds and loot that I actually want to fight for. While the story is utterly unengaging, it's at least that, a story. No lore hidden on a website, no having played a third of the game in a pre-release beta. This is the game I wanted Destiny to be. I may finally have the game that scratches that itch that has felt unscratched since Borderlands 2. Even when I've heard every piece of dialogue, done every mission multiple times, and listened to every single stupid quip that Nolan North is going to throw at me, I'll still want to play this game because the gameplay is so good. Destiny 2 is fantastic. Simply put, it is the comeback story of the generation. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Restart for more reviews and video essays. Until next time, I'm Jordan Midler. I'll see you later.